Challenge your potential and the sky's the limit. Join me, Emily Ibbott, in a diary to empower. From a starting point of a love for dance, my life has evolved, but along the way, I've learned so much in how we develop, learn and grow from those around us to elevate us even further on. Be inspired and be open to learn, and no limit will ever exist. Come along with me on my own journey in personal development, but with guests who have empowered me and are still doing so in my own journey. Hey. So I always get a little bit of goosebumps whenever I hear my intro again. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I made that. But it's also so true. And obviously, welcome back, guys. And welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
I am so excited for you to be joining me. And we kind of just, how we first met, you, obviously I did a shoot with Laura just after my first ever comp. And you were kind of helping on board behind the scenes. And that was amazing. And I'd never done a shoot like that. But the location was obviously gorgeous, sort of in the garden settings. And it was obviously really warm that day as well, which was lovely because the sun and the colours and everything. And yeah, and obviously we've just kind of connected since then. And obviously recently we got chatting and we were talking about the dance creative side of things. I can't remember what you posted onto your story that just got us like firing up, and we were like, yes. So I was like, come on to the podcast to sort of speak about that side of things. Now, I guess to begin with, for everyone out there who may not know sort of what you do, who you are and sort of where you come from, I guess, and into the fitness industry / creative arts as well. Do you want to give a little intro?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So I've always been into fitness. I've been an athlete since a very young age. I started doing gymnastics from the age of like 5, 6.
I wish I did gymnastics.
Yes. Do you know what?
I'd have no fear.
It was the biggest blessing of my life, because I think when you're a kid and you're doing those kinds of like athletic things, like building that muscle at that young age, I don't know, it just sticks with you.
And also you don't really realise the benefits of it at the time. Like, at the time, obviously, you're just like, I'm just going to yeet myself like as far across as possible. And you just kind of go for it. You've got no fear. But I think as well, those disciplines is very different in everyone and kind of what you're encouraged to do or put in for, and sort of where your parents kind of be like, oh, why don't you try this? You might like it. And we actually don't realise, and it's not until I've kind of reflected on it recently, that how much benefit it has in the just discipline in general, our mindsets, how we apply ourselves, the people we meet, the confidence it brings. And it's just kind of evolves, doesn't it? So much.
It builds character. It definitely does. Like, it builds you of who you are. Like, it tests you and challenges you at such a young age that, like, you grow. Even without realising.
Yeah,
you know?
And even like the little shows and competitions and maybe exams, if you sort of did the dance side of things as well, it really brings so much. And also self-belief, which I talk about a lot in all of my podcasts and also most days with my team. I'm like, gas yourself up, you've got to. But also any setbacks, it kind of, or not setbacks, but maybe we didn't get either results we wanted, or we didn't go as well, or we had, I don't know, a trip or a fall or something. You kind of only learn from it to be your best, but that's okay to do that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So you started into gymnastics, and then where did it go?
So I had a really bad injury in gymnastics at the age of 7. Took me out of school, everything. It was just horrendous. And then from there, I actually took a break from that, carried on with other things like dance that wasn't as impactful if you were to injure yourself on a level we say as. But then from there, I had always had this creative spark in me that was like, whether it is when you're dancing and you think of a move that actually like the flow of your body, there's something coming through you that's like, what about this idea or that idea? And like when you can get into that flow space, and you can apply this to anything. When you get into that flow space, there's no room for self-judgment, self-criticism, anything like that. And like my goal, like just in general in life for myself, the people like I'm around and like work with or do art on, it's like, can we get into that space together?
Yeah.
And especially, obviously, I know we'll go into it, but things like body art and makeup and stuff like that, going into the creative space within the fitness space, can we bring radical self-acceptance with our bodies through creativity? Like,
Yes.
do you know what I mean?
Amazing. And it's really powerful. And I think, we're not, I think as humans, we're quite closed off. So I think when we just have that, like, open our minds a little bit, it can just, the doors that are opening are just going to be never ending as well.
100%.
And it comes hugely into, I mean, even coming into the fitness industry from a dance background myself, it's really changed the game about how I think about the everyday anyway, just because of, like you say, creative flow and enjoyment of it. And I think we spoke about this more so as well, the positivity side of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where that can take you. And I don't know how sort of, I guess that's maybe followed in similar sort of similarities for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, I find that, like, especially in dancing and performing arts, there's one thing everyone has in common in that industry that I've noticed myself. And I'd be definitely interested to hear your perspective on this. Is
I'm
like
intrigued.
everyone has a perfectionist part that even if there's something that someone wouldn't notice, you notice it.
Yeah.
And you like almost carry that with you of like, I got to get it. I got to get it. Then there's another part that's like the inner critic, high achiever, which is like there's this part inside that's like I have to achieve, I have to go above and beyond. I can't just get normal or average. I have to do above and beyond. And I don't know if that's like a teaching within dance, performing arts, where it's like that's great. Now we go even higher. Now we like that's the ceiling you've reached. Now we're doing even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you're constantly wanting more and striving for more. Now, for myself, I completely resonate with that. And I think it's the reason, like my parents and my brother and my family, they're very, very, very hardworking people. But they always say, my mum's like, I don't know where this comes from with you. Discipline, yes, it completely resonates with them as well, but not in the sense of like, once I set something, we're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger with it, but more so for myself. So when I want to achieve, I find that with some people, it can be a negative being such a perfectionist. Being a perfectionist, I don't think is a bad thing in any way, shape or form, but I think it can, if you put a negative spin on it, being like, if I don't get this perfect, then it can become negative. Whereas actually it's like, but this is the perfect now, but it's not the perfect ever.
Yes. And also, no one's ever going to achieve perfect, even though we're perfectionists.
Yes.
And this is the thing with what creativity is taking me down is like, you try to achieve perfect, yet perfect never exists. And in your mind, you think what is perfective,
Yeah.
is different to my perspective.
Yes.
So it's all
bizarre
subjective.
in terms of how it's only relevant to you personally.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of think, even in my bodybuilding journey, the goal is never ending, really. Like next year, obviously, yes, I want to absolutely smash what I trump on 2 years ago, but it's, and that's all I'm, massively striving for, and that will be the best I am then, but it's not my best ever. And that for me, and even every session, like I have a session with my coach and I'm thinking, oh God, I don't even know how to train. But actually it's like, no, you're bringing out more perfectionist in me to then each session be that little bit better or be a little bit stricter with that or go one rep further. And you can kind of, I guess, apply this in any creative way. And I really try and put my sort of background into my everyday anyway. I mean, for any average person, I mean, a few people that I speak to do, but it's not the norm to listen to musicals as your gym songs. But it definitely helps. I think as well, it just kind of, it's that creative space and not stopping is there. And I guess maybe it has come from sort of those disciplines and creativity way back when, even though I wouldn't notice it when I was 3. Like,
Yeah,
you don't even
100%.
notice it, or when you're doing gymnastics, and it's that performance element. And I think it brings that confidence from a young age. And again, confidence, I think, is something that people put negativity on, when actually it doesn't, very different to arrogance, but you know, you have to be confident otherwise, but it gradually grows with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then upon that as well, it's like, you don't just get confident.
I was just about to jump onto it.
Really?
Yeah. And so many people, I don't know whether you probably have people say to you, oh, how are you so this, or how do you get so confident in that and what you do? But it's just kind of that practice and sort of positive outlook in what you're doing
100%.
rather than, you know, doing something once and, you know, obviously it's not going to necessarily be in the same position that you want it to be unless you've done it 100 times over. Like your first body art shoot compared to what you do now is probably completely different,
100%.
and you're probably way more confident now with it compared to when you first started.
100%. Like, if anyone sees my first body art, it was with Martina. Do you know Martina?
Not sure I do. I might recognise.
I'm not joking. I literally just got so much powder paint and watered it all down and just literally just threw it on her. It was like a dripping effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I look back at it and I'm like, wow, I've come so far. But then when you apply it to fitness, because I've also gone down the bodybuilding route.
Yes.
And it's very much, when I look back at confidence and when I've grown the most confidence and self-esteem, it's when I've been doing hard things that I'm unsure of or don't feel quite safe for me to do yet.
Uncomfortable with.
Yes.
And I think that's spoken a lot more about more recently. A lot of people are like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but it's so true. It is so true, because you can't, you know, no one's comfortable, like, I don't know, for example, bodybuilding terms, being on a Stairmaster for an hour. I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with it, but, you know, just to push through that little bit further in order to reach the places that I want to go, actually that makes me feel more confident,
Yeah.
you know, in itself. And it really does resonate with so many things. And with your body art side of things, that's more of what you're sort of going into and the creative side of things now. So obviously we've spoken just now on the body art side of things, but for those out there who are like, what is this? What are we talking about? Obviously you work very closely with Laura Skye, and how did it come about for you to even get into body art? Because you mainly work with bodybuilders, right?
Yeah, literally women in the fitness space. So, you know what, I'm very holistic with my approach, and that goes for like fitness approach, like creative things, my own mind and how I operate with my mind, you know.
Yeah.
And in 2020, when everything was shut down, I decided, right, I need to work on me for a while, and I need to know my reasoning of why bodybuilding was a thing for me, and when I had injuries, of why I felt I needed to push, and like when actually I needed to learn how to pull back. Every athlete needs to understand that. Rest and recover. Yeah.
And I think it is something thrown about. I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I need to rest, I need to recover. And no. You actually need, like, it's not just something to be like, oh yeah, I'll get to that. Because it's how we be better more than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I was definitely thrown a big life lesson at one point of like, you need to rest. I had 2 weeks out of a competition at the time. I was like competing for WBFF. 2 weeks out, I had no idea. I had done a whole prep pregnant. And then I had a ectopic pregnancy and it ruptured. And that was the first time I found out I was pregnant in a prep. And I remember
2
thinking,
weeks out.
yeah, and it completely changed my whole life of what rest and recovery is, and actually listening to your body. Hence why I've gone down body art.
Yeah.
So a little bit of context on that. After that, I was like, I need to have some kind of healing process of my mind-body connection, not just in training and like mind-muscle connection, but more like how my mind is connecting with my actual body and using my intuition as a woman to be like, I'm connected to my body. I know my body's telling me this, and I need to act on it regardless of what I've been told by something external from me.
Yeah.
So
and I think more people are sort of going in with sort of that approach, especially now the hormone side of things is so much more talked about. I mean, I've had sort of spoken about it a little bit onto the podcast with some guests, and it's something that we really do have to take into consideration in with our training and with our mindset, because things can really waver and throw us off. Whereas actually if we work with it,
Yeah.
You know, it's not gonna sort of bombard us a little
Yeah,
bit.
100%. And then from there, went to Costa Rica for a deep healing journey on Annie.
Amazing.
And I was there for about a year. And then that's when the body art kind of was birthed there, because at the time I was selling my paintings in restaurants.
Wow.
And I was
was
like,
that just stuff you did on the side?
yeah,
Like
literally just did on the
fun,
side,
cool?
because I was still in the fitness industry coaching women, even though I'd always done my arts on the side. And then it was one day when I was painting, I was like, I don't have a canvas. And one of my really good friends there, she laughs every single time I talk about this story, but I was like, can I paint on you? Like, is that weird? And she was like, go for it. I went, well, I've only got spray paint that is strictly not on any skin. She was like, just go for it. I was like, perfect. Did this literally masterpiece of spray paint all over her. And I was like, something is in this. Wow. Then with Laura, I've known Laura for years. We worked out like the other day, it's like 5 years plus we've known each other.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I flew back from Texas, because I was living in Texas at the time. And we were like, we need to collaborate on something. We need to do something. I got body art shoot done for me. And I was like, this is something I need to do.
Yeah.
So it was one, that painting, and then two, Laura. And then I was like, wait, let's smash
Kind of
this.
that middle ground. And especially if you'd coaching people, like
Exactly.
you'd worked obviously in the industry, you'd been in the bodybuilding
Yeah.
side of things. And I think as well, before you go on to the body art side of things in sort of the fitness space, bodybuilding is art.
Yes.
Like, you know, and we touched on this in terms of the posing side of things. And, you know, people who, I think a lot of the routines that are created, and, you know, some people are very much uncomfortable with that, the idea of and thought of a routine. But I think there are a few people, quite a few people in the industry that have that little bit of dance background. It changes the game. And it really changed it for me when I got to do my routine last year, which I choreographed, and then my posing coach just perfected it more for the stage. Because it's great to have that someone else to sort of look in on your work. But it was the most fun creating it, and it has the most special place in my heart. And I might, if I can bring it back out again, I will. But and how we contract and how we're connected with our bodies, and the mind to muscle connection of how we present ourselves, because it's your own. No one else can take that away from you. Of how you present something is completely different to how someone else presents
100%.
something. And it's really, really powerful, and there is so much flow into it as well. And you see some beautiful, beautiful routines, male and female. And they're just kind of, some of them even, I went to watch the PCA British finals this year. Yeah. And there was one girl, and like her routine was just, I was like singing along, like she had, it was just like to the routine, and she was moving, like she was sort of like lip syncing as well whilst doing it, but she just had that flair, and I was like, this is incredible, I'm not going to forget this.
Yeah.
And she actually won the PCA awards for the routine of the year. But it was just, I think it's really powerful what you can do with art and fitness, and that definitely comes into it.
Yeah. And back on the posing part, to be completely bluntly honest, I only ever remember the routines of people when I've watched them, whether it's Olympia, PCA, anything like that, where they've had a flow and they've had that inner essence of them in the routine.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I agree. I completely agree. Because there are some people that you can just switch off to in terms of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do some posing. Cool.
Yeah.
But when you add you to it, and you can see that from your eyes, from your smile, from how you're like you're connecting and moving your body, changes it, and they're incredible. But yeah, they come not so near and far. You know, you can really pick them out as well, which is amazing. And the posing side of things, it is super fun. I loved it, and I still love it. And I think it genuinely is as well. You know, even from a dance discipline, we have to contort ourselves a little bit, you know. Yes. And you've done some hip hop and stuff as well. Yeah. I mean, that's not my speciality in any way, shape or form. But again, you have to, those contortions and things, we understand sort of pulling up and sort of going into different positions. But I've noticed that people, and even my clients, ones who I've got a lot of clients who've come from sort of dance and theatre backgrounds, which is great. But those who haven't, you can really notice that difference in how in a exercise, for example, that doesn't click as much.
Yes, 100%.
Which is so interesting.
100%.
And do you find that on sort of the body art shoots as well? Sort of when you got into it a little bit more?
Yeah.
You probably work with so many incredible athletes of all different backgrounds. So I guess it's kind of bringing that out of them.
You know what? You've just pointed me on something. So essence of yourself in routines, in posing, is the same with body art on the shoes. So say, for example, I've just done a body art on an amazing girl who wanted me to put all her journey of what her body's gone through on her body art.
Amazing.
So I've literally created from the depths of the dark at the bottom here and bringing it up to light and bringing like all the pieces of like whether she had like a few miscarriages and put it onto her heart, like, and really bringing the gold near the end and like portraying that as her journey of her body. And then I've gone to the other extreme recently with one of the Olympia athletes, Shelley.
Wow,
and
she's incredible. I think she's based local.
She's in London.
Oh yeah, because she does a lot of work at Studio One. Well,
Okay.
she's done some shoots there and stuff before.
Yes.
So yeah,
So her ones are coming out today.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm not joking. Getting her essence out is like I'm doing the body art on her, and she's flipping, she's handstanding, she's on her head, and I'm like, Shelley, like I don't even need to cue you here. Like you're great. Like
she is an incredible athlete. Because she's in the fitness side of bodybuilding, which is incredible when you watch them on stage, and the ability, and it comes from that as well, that gymnastic background as well. So you did that recently?
Yeah, did it recently. Images came back and they're just like, I just look at it and I think that art really represents her as like the warrior woman that she is.
Yeah.
To be like,
And that's what it should be.
Yeah.
In any, even in bodybuilding or in photo shoots, it should be you as much as possible. And it can really, to be able to present that as well, that must feel so special for you as well, with what you can create with them to bring out more of them.
yeah. It's basically like makeup on another level. It's like, instead of wearing an outfit that you like the color or the shape of it and how it like brings you in on certain areas of your body, this is literally like you at your most vulnerable and shining your essence through it.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way I can describe body art.
It's amazing. And it is the power from it, especially from the images as well, that you obviously do with Laura. And you must be quite a tight team in order to bring that out of that athlete or that person behind the camera, and sort of being in that vulnerability as well, because it's a lot to, I think shoots in themselves can be quite nerve-wracking, you know, as it is, let alone sort of in the position and sort of having your body as bare as possible in order to bring that canvas out.
Yeah, 100%. And like, just to touch upon that as well, like body art is actually probably one of the most vulnerable things you could ever do. And believe me, I've seen everything of, to be honest, hundreds of women now. Like nothing is a surprise to me. Nothing, like honestly, like if anything, is actually been a healing journey for me of being like, oh, you're the same as me. And like at the same time, like no one sees each other naked, do they?
No.
They don't.
No.
They just don't.
And I think it's, everyone is so similar, but there's such a taboo around it.
Yeah, and I've never, do you know what? And now I look back at it and I just don't understand it. But when you're in that time where it is you that is in your vulnerable state, you are like so naked and I'm painting over you. The best thing for me to do in that moment, when I notice one of the girls' nervous system is just out of whack, they're dysregulated, they can't center themselves, they might be disassociated because they're in a state of fight or flight. The best thing I can do at that time for them is be like, with my sponge and be like, literally all I want you to do is focus on the sensations that are on your skin right now.
Yeah.
Don't even think about the art. Just focus on that and tell me exactly what's the temperature. How does it feel on you? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it like, I want you to literally speak this out to me.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help regulate them in the process of me doing the art.
And also kind of like, as you're going through it, it's kind of like, you know, when someone like stretch, or like when you go into a stretch and you're like, I'm really tense. Whereas actually when you think about the stretch a little bit and you actually breathe and you sort of, you know, think it through step by step, it really changes that like sort of calmness element to it, and how special to sort of have that with people. And I think it's very odd when we sort of come onto the taboo of like our bodies, I guess. You know, I think being in bodybuilding, that goes quite quickly when you get to the tanning experience, which I've spoken about a few times in the story on this podcast. And I think, again, by that point, again, you know, when you go into that tanning thing, even it is an experience in itself, but you're all like, we're all the same. We're all doing. We're all here for the same reason. We've all got this amazing passion. Like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No one's sort of looking anyway. But you know, it is like you. By that point, that's not the focus of what you're doing, because you're so focused on your art, of what you're doing the next day, and what you're focusing on, and that's kind of, I guess, what you need to, or people to bring to sort of the shoots that you do as well.
I literally see them as like bodies to me are literally just canvases I'm creating on. There is nothing else. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. It's literally like how you would view, like a regular person would view a blank canvas that you buy in Hobbycraft. Like I am literally looking at your body like that.
Yeah, and
like,
also the story that you can create with it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the same as, like you say, someone buying a canvas.
Yeah.
You know, that you're trying to create and think of how you're going to bring whatever the story you are, and that is about that person.
Yeah.
And how powerful that you can do it on them themselves rather than on like a blank canvas.
100%.
Which is awesome. And how did you sort of think about where you were taking this body art? How did you know that that was kind of the route that you then wanted to go further with? Because you've now got quite a lot in the planning in the fitness industry, which is so exciting.
Yes.
And so where are you kind of at with it from growing it to where it's going?
So I would say last year was establishing what it wants to be, because everything with creativity and anything you're creating, whether it's a business, whether it is a routine, it is something that when you're in flow, it's something in my eyes it's greater than you, that's coming through you. It's actually not coming from me. Like everything I create is like them.
Yes.
Or it's just it's actually got nothing to do with me. And like coming back to this year, it was very much building on top of what I have created so far, and next year it's taking the art, because it's been very lighthearted. My art is very colourful, it's very bright. This year coming is, let's take you to the depths of your darkest days and actually showcase that of being in your essence of women have very like seductive energy, they have very like vibrant energy, they have their deepest darkest days. Can we bring that through the art and then shine a light on that? So bring those so it's a healing process, rather than this is an image of what you accomplished at your peak and now you're going to be in your room in your like hoodie crying over when you used to look thinner or slimmer or leaner. Like
it's more of like embracing every part.
100%.
And I think that's what fitness and sort of someone's fitness journey should be about, because it's an accumulation of good and bad and great and, you know, tough days and tougher gym sessions, and how our mindsets grow with that, and how we are able to really produce something with ourselves that we're proud of. But it doesn't mean that those tougher and hard days aren't a part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And showing that is incredible as well. And to have the platform that you do and to work with Laura. And I think people forget about the sort of photo shoot side of things. And a lot of people are very nervous. I mean, I did a team shoot last year and I did 2 this year. And so many people, when they first talked to me about pondering on the idea, it's like, you know, I'm getting in front of a camera, and it's way more than just those photos.
Yeah.
Way more. And it's that accomplishment, it's that confidence, it's owning what you are than anything else. And it's, yes, the photos are great to document and to have that, to remember everything a part of it, but it's really screaming that day. It's an experience more than anything else. And especially, I mean, how long do you take with the body art? How long it must
good question. So it takes roughly about an hour per person. So it's
So it must be quite long days, especially if there's more than one that you
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of do,
Like-
and then sort of the shoot itself and
Yeah.
sort of all the positions. And to start with as well, it takes a little bit of time to get into it to really express what that person's journey is.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we like group shoots. I do. I actually really enjoy them because it allows other women to support each other. But I've realized I really love in doing group shoots, whether it's like say 10 women splitting it over 2 days, because it allows more intimate groups while the other ones are supporting each other if they want to come
so
along.
it's still all together, but
Yeah.
it's kind of split in terms of time.
Yeah,
And
because also like if you've ever been to a shoot where it's like 10 of you or whatever, and it's like a carousel, it's like, where is the touch?
yeah.
Where's that?
And I make my shoot days like, because it's you're all doing this together. Now some of online and PT, and depending on sort of who wants to sort of focus on it, but not all of them know each other or meet each other, so it's kind of that opportunity for that space to be embraced. And the gym's closed, we've got music with just me and Em with the camera, we've got my hype girls like at this behind the scenes. It's like a whole thing in itself, and it really kind of lets them think about it as well, and to enjoy it more than anything else.
Yeah.
And have you got lots sort of in the planning for the rest of this year, or is it kind of calming for the end of 2024? Or you never really know what
never
it is.
calming with me.
Always feels crazy this time of year. It is, and it's really powerful with people in all stages of their fitness journey as well.
So you know what, like this year it's more about intricate detail for me. It's more about like how can I really go into depth with it, with the art. And like rounding up this year, like it's very much reflecting on how the whole year has gone. And I really like to do December, January as my own portfolio work of what I want to create. Because then when I do what I want to create, it inspires other women to be like, I want that, or I want it like this.
Or could you do that but with this spin on it?
Exactly. So that's exactly what, like, to be honest with you, like December, January, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be busy for me. Like, because I'm thinking what I want to create.
Yeah, and because then I suppose it explodes the rest of your year.
Yeah, 100%. Every single artist or dancer or performing arts person will know, like, it's behind the scenes what matters most. It's what you're doing behind closed doors that no one else sees that is so important.
Yeah.
And it just so happens with the body art, for me, it's very much the portfolio work is like key for me right now. Like, it's like, it has to be bang, 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 you know? So, yeah.
Very exciting things in the loop. And it's really exciting what you're doing in the fitness space. And obviously, I know we've sort of flitted back and forth on stories and bits and pieces. And also really interesting to be able to connect with someone who has also come from that performing arts background, and the impact that it actually has on, I don't know about you, but this was, well, like, I would not even imagine like 6 years ago that this was on my agenda for even having a podcast and being like, oh yes, let's add this and let's add it, because it's just where my brain takes me. But for having that dance discipline, performing arts background, I can't even begin to comprehend actually how much it's done for my current career.
100%.
Which is a bit of a mind-blowing thing. And I genuinely think as well, the outlook I have of things and sort of that positivity is from that. Because what more could you, what's sad about any musicals? Like, and you know, I'm not musical theatre, I'm musical theatre trained, but I never went into it professionally. I did it professionally at college and uni, but it never sort of went further due to COVID. But again, without those opportunities, or without that happening, like COVID, or like you say, when you went like sort of after your bodybuilding journey and when you went to Costa Rica and thing, without those doors opening, like, you know, you've got to just try and go through them.
100%.
More than anything else. Exciting. It's been so nice to sort of delve into this side of things, and obviously hopefully we will be working together again, and it's been so nice for you to talk about it as well, because I think not many people know about it, and it's such another style of shoot, and there's so much out there in terms of, a lot of people just think as a fitness shoot as in the gym, whereas actually there is like endless possibilities. Myself, I did a water shoot this year to document my off-season side of things, and it really changed my outlook in sort of the fitness space and in off season, because there's so much negative like association with off season and this, and you're gaining, and it's not the best time. I've never felt better in my life and more confident. And it's really interesting because even prep I loved, and that shoot with Laura I loved, being at sort of my leanest I'd ever been, but actually to embrace the other side of it and love it just as much, but on two very different levels, was really powerful. And I think it's really cool for you to be able to document all different levels of the fitness phases, should I say. And exciting.
It's so exciting.
What's in store. So obviously, if you guys have any questions for Annie on anything she does, obviously I will tag all of her socials as well. It's probably best to go straight to her, as I am not, this is not my forte. But I really like to highlight this different aspects of people's journeys, and actually it is a part of, there are all parts of your journey. Like you're able to document. It's not just about getting on stage or doing a shoot, or, it's not black and white, and actually you can be proud of documenting every single part of it.
Yeah.
And anything else. But is there anything else you want to end on? Or, I mean, you've sort of spoken about so much.
Yeah.
But
Do you know what? It's more of a highlight of, one, the listeners, but also you, which I don't think you realise, which is when creative arts, performing arts, dancing, we said it builds character. There's also obviously the discipline that comes in with it, and that can be applied to any part of your life. So look at you're doing a podcast, and it's like 90% of people that start a podcast don't get past the second one. And it's then after that, it's like 20% of them only go past 20. So for you to have that teaching at a young age.
Crazy that sort of even just you highlighting it, because when it came to me doing my 30th episode, I did like kind of a 30th episode special, and I did like a giveaway and things. But it really dawned on me that when I started this, and sort of I first spoke with Jack, who is behind the camera that you guys can't see, I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And I'm here to embrace. I have connected with so many people, even from when I was at uni, and I hadn't even thought about becoming a personal trainer yet, even though I knew I was kind of on my horizon further down the line, nowhere near soon. I was speaking with personal trainers and talking with like my dance teachers and what background was, and like even my final project at uni was based on injuries around the knee and how we can really enhance and being stronger and to stop that. It all kind of crosses over, and I think all the people, I was like, how can I make this a platform? And to have even 85 of you be following this, on my little podcast, but, to have those listens regularly, I was such determined to make this a commitment to also resonate with people out there, as well as it's just kind of creating that platform to talk about it. Because when do you see all these different people in the fitness space, in the bodybuilding space, even for clients in the lifestyle space of fitness, it's so varied, and there are so many opportunities for people out there to have somewhere for them in the fitness industry. So thank you for highlighting it. Not many people throw things back onto me, but I love it because it's that discipline comes into it.
100%.
And I was like, I'm determined. And as always, thank you for every listen, and hopefully as well connecting with different people. It just kind of grows for people to think about that perspective way more than just the gym.
100%.
Or like a camera, for yourself. And especially in the artist world, which obviously I'm sort of very far away from, but for yourself, you probably connect with so many different people, and some people are very black and white, and some people like yourself are, hang on a minute, there's way more that we can give to this.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me, and obviously taking the time to come on board. And never know, we might have more topics to speak about into 100%. The future. Maybe we can bring Laura on board as well, which would be amazing.
She'd be like,
I don't want to be in front of the camera. But yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and hopefully I will see you on the next episode. A big thank you for joining me on my channel and tuning in. Find me on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon and YouTube, A Diary to Empower. Follow me on Instagram, m_power.fitness, and TikTok, m.ibert. See you on the next episode.